Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the Journey to Podcast Automation series, the YouTube series talking about how I created a fully automated and AI-generated podcast. In the last video, we looked at how to use AI to help with the planning process to finding a podcast topic, choosing a name, generating a podcast show description, and creating cover art. And in this video, we're going to be focusing on how to create podcast episode titles and show notes for your episodes. We're going to be doing this by creating OpenAI assistants that will help write the content for us. And OpenAI assistants can go beyond just creating titles and show notes. We can use this for creating scripts and outlines for our episodes, for doing guest outreach, and even writing related blog posts to the episodes that we're creating. Pretty much anything that involves writing, we can create these assistants to help us. And what's cool is that at the end of the series, we're going to be plugging these assistants into an automation software. So when you create an episode, all these additional assets are automatically generated for you without even having to ask the AI to help you. So let's take a look at creating our first assistants. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to want to do is go to platform.openai.com. Once you're here, you're either going to want to log in. If you have a ChatGPT account, you have an OpenAI account, so you can log in with that same credential. Otherwise, if you don't have an OpenAI account at all, you'll click sign up. Since I have an account, I'm just going to log in quick. So once we're in, the first thing we have to do is create a secret key and add funds to our account. Yes, we have to put money in, but it's not going to cost you a lot at all. In a previous video, I talk about how I use OpenAI assistants to create outlines and scripts, show notes, titles, blog posts, all kinds of content for the AI briefing. And I create all of that written content for less than $2 a month. So you don't need to put a lot in here. So to do this, we're going to come up into the settings here. We're going to come over into the side and we're going to select billing. And here you can see that I have a $14.93 balance on my account. You'll likely see 0 here. And all you have to do to add money is click add credit to balance. You choose how much money you want, add your payment method, and it'll walk you through the steps of adding funds to your account. I would say to get started, you probably only need about $5 in that account. And once you get actually using your AI assistant, you're going to realize how little you're actually spending with an OpenAI assistant. So with your account funded, we're going to come up to the top and click on Dashboard. We're going to click on API keys over here. And in the top corner, we're going to click Create Secret Key. We'll give the secret key a name. So we'll say Podcast Automation Series. Choose a project, which you can just leave as default, and then click Create Secret Key. Now your key is going to be generated here. You want to copy this. You want to save it someplace safe, because when you close out this window, you cannot access this key ever again. Additionally, you don't want anybody having access to this key. If they get a hold of it, they can use the key and ultimately charge your account. So keep this someplace safe that no one else can get at and that you will remember where it is. So with that copied, we'll click Done. And a good thing to note, if you did lose it for whatever reason, you can't find it, you can always delete that key and that will eliminate it altogether. And just click Revoke Key, and you can always create a new key. So now that your API key is created, we're going to come over to Assistants on the side here. Obviously, I have all kinds of assistants in here, but we are going to click Create up in the corner. Now for this first assistant, we're going to call this Podcast Titles. You can name it whatever you want. The name is kind of irrelevant. It's more just to help you stay organized. Then we need to give instructions for what we want this assistant to do. If you've ever created a custom GPT, it's the exact same process. So I'm going to grab the instructions from another assistant that I have. I'll paste that in here and I'll show you what that looks like. So the instructions say your job is to create an SEO optimized podcast episode title. First, I'm going to give you a transcript from a podcast episode. This transcript will consist of 2 to 3 articles. You must first rank the 3 stories from most intriguing or interesting to least intriguing/interesting. Do not share this information with me. Then you'll take the most interesting of the 3 news articles and create an episode title for that particular news story. The title must be 5 to 7 words long, include specific keywords relevant to the topics, and include engaging or powerful words that would entice someone who reads the title to watch the episode. Do not include any instruction or notes or quotes in the title. I only want you to give me the title you've created. And this is obviously very specific to the AI briefing, where I highlight several AI news articles in the episode, and I want to extract the best story out of that to create my title. So that's why I have all this ranking the 3 stories and basically making AI find the best story out of the 3 to create the title around. So I'll back out of the edit instructions area. And next we're going to choose the model for the assistant. So you can see we have several different models, and we can even show more models. GPT-4o is the model I prefer to use. It is definitely by far the most powerful of the models that are out there. But at the time of recording this, GPT-4o Mini just launched, which is a much cheaper option. It's still more powerful than GPT 3.5, but nowhere near as powerful as GPT-4. What I would recommend is testing the different models with your instructions and see which one gives you the best results. For certain assistants I've created, GPT 3.5, the much cheaper option, creates content more like what I'm looking for, but in many cases, GPT-4 is my go-to model. Now, there's several different options in here as well, like file search if you're going to be uploading files to the assistant that it can use as reference, or code interpreter where you can actually upload files to the assistant and have it extract information from that. We're not really going to be worried about this for our purposes. So once we have our name, our instructions, and our model selected, we can just click Playground here. Okay, so now once you're in the playground, this should look very similar to ChatGPT. You can come in here and you can have a conversation with the assistant. In this case, we want to test to make sure that the assistant is creating the titles the way that we want them created. So I'm going to paste in a script here from a recent episode of the AI briefing. I just copied the text right in, no additional instructions because we already have those set up over here. And I'm just going to click run. Okay, and just like that, we have a title almost instantly. And you can see we have story headline 1, story headline 2, story headline 3. The assistant deemed that this first story here as the most interesting, and it created a title around that. Now, if it didn't follow your instructions or you didn't get the kind of output that you wanted, we can come over here and we can tweak these instructions. We can modify, we can do whatever we want in here, and then we can retest until we get the kind of result we're looking for. So next, let's create another assistant. We're going to click on assistants over here in the corner, and we're going to click create, and then we're going to call this one episode show notes. Once again, I'm going to copy from my other assistant here, and we'll take a look at these instructions as well. So I said, I'm going to give you a script for a podcast episode. Your job will be to create an SEO optimized description for the podcast episode. The description should be separated into 3 parts. 1, a list of 3 key takeaways. 2, a slightly more detailed description of what is being discussed in the episode. And then 3, I wanted to add in a disclaimer at the end of all of my show notes to basically say this is an AI generated podcast. So that's what this number 3 is. And then down below, I gave a little more detail as to what I want for each of those sections. So for number 1, the key takeaways should not be super detailed. These should act more as an attention-grabbing hook for what the listener can expect from the episode. And 2, the detailed description can include more details about what is discussed in the headline. And I specified that I want it to be 1 to 2 sentences. And then in an attempt to make it not sound so AI, I said do not use overused words like delve, imagine, or game-changing, etc. Doesn't always work, but it's worth a try. So we'll click back here. Once again, I select GPT-4o as my model, and we'll leave all these other ones the same, and we'll go into the playground. And here we'll paste in our script once again, and we'll click run. And here we go. We have our 3 key takeaways that touch on each of the story headlines that are in the episode. Then we have our more detailed description, where it looks like we got meta covered in here. We got next we delve, so it didn't listen. Darn it. So they delve into Adobe, and then lastly, they discuss Perplexity AI, and then round it out with our little disclaimer at the end. So now you have 2 fully functioning AI assistants that can help you with your podcast production. With these assistants created, you can come to the playground anytime and click on assistants and go to the playground and have a conversation with this assistant whenever you want. So now that they're built, you can actually start using them to create your titles and episode descriptions or whatever other assistant you create. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, in a few weeks, we're going to take these assistants and plug them into an automation software. So all you have to do is upload a transcript of your episode, and AI will take care of all the rest for you. So if that's of interest to you, make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can continue following along on this YouTube series. If you have any questions about creating OpenAI assistants, let me know down in the comments. But if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up for me real quick. And once again, make sure you're subscribed so you can continue following along on this podcast automation series.